Hey guys, Ben from KCT here, the real one, and back with another Monday motivation video for you. And we're not just gonna get you super moto by the things I say. We're also gonna do a little bit of a deeper dive into some stuff that's laying around here, so we can do kind of review stuff and moto stuff all at the same time. How fucking moto is that, guys? Like, share, comment, and subscribe. You know, it really helps the channel out. It's free. Maybe we'll do a Patreon or a subscribe start. I don't know. The possibilities are not quite endless, but they're darn near infinite. So what are we looking at today while I do some talking is the SRC Sharps Rifle Company. And it is the balanced bolt carrier group back when I got it. Now they have some other name for it. I'm trying to remember what it is. But it'll always be the BBC to me. And I reached out to them years ago, maybe 8 years ago now, something like that. And got this and one of their reliables, and they sent the individual reliables out. That was right around the time that the reliables were cracking some poor heat treatment, so they immediately sent me out new ones and said send the other ones back. Psych, guys, after all these years I can finally say it, I did not send them back, and I've had no problems with the heat treating on my bolts. I've had 4 of them in addition to this one, just the bolts, and each one has had thousands of rounds underneath it, and it is a-okay. So that's what we have on the table today. What are we going to talk about? Well, as a guy who's lost probably 90% of his fights, I'm going to tell you guys how to lose a fight. And it's one easy step. It's really simple. Now, I can't really tell you how to win a fight because most of my fights were like in grade school. And because my parents didn't beat on me, I was always kind of behind the power curve of the kids whose parents, used them as ashtrays, which in the long run I'm okay with. But yeah, as an adult I didn't really fight a whole lot because adults. But I'm going to show you how to do this at any point in your life while we take a look at this, and I'll try to keep 2 different conversations going at the same time. So let's go ahead and dig into it. All right, so the first thing to note is this thing is beautiful. The finish is awesome, and it's for at least 5 years old. I know it's way more than that because I had it before I was with my wife for 7 years. Yeah, so I mean the finish is just wipe off. It's unbelievable. I love it, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it's supposed to be, but I mean nickel boron or whatever, and just wipe that shit right off there. Let's just buff that shit out too. This, I don't really clean my guns anymore. This got cleaned the other day for an INI, but there's normally just shit all over the place. So we'll kind of keep both these things going at the same time. So losing a fight is really, really easy. If you guys are old school and remember The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, this is where my lack of fingernails is going to haunt me. Basically, the guy says, I want to fight you, Steve, and the other guy just hits him in the face. And he goes, you never come up and say I want to fight somebody. You just do it. And that is exactly what we're talking about as far as losing a fight. So what it boils down to, and this is anywhere in your life, if you want to lose a fight, talk about it first. So there you go, nice filthy firing pin. So it's been used for around Jeremy's. Anyways, so it's good. Yeah, there you go. And so what I mean by that is if you tell the other person they're going to get into a fight, they're obviously going to prepare for it, or whether that's just a run away or whatever, they're going to do whatever they feel that they need to do for that situation. And that might just be prepping up and grabbing their guns or whatever they have, or just your fist fight. But more commonly, just about things in life is if you're dealing with something, don't talk about it. When people are like, oh, I'll post this stuff on Facebook, and it's like, yeah, we all want to look like we're cool and strong and tough, but the fact that you just told the person that essentially online, that whatever you're trying to do is probably not going to work. When people argue back and forth and, oh, I'm going to do this when I see you, it's like, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, about that. So let's take a look at this beautiful, I think it's like weird, like riding horse thing. You see that there? It looks like the stuff on the horse on like the side of a Rip-It can. Yeah, and then Sharps Rifle Company, or Sharps Carbine is whack. $5 to anybody that knows that reference. Go ahead and knock that cam pin out there. And everything on the bolt carry group is pretty much middle spec. The accoutrements, I think this is probably a better finish than like your typical. Sorry, I try to keep this stuff on camera. Your typical phosphate, you know, Jesus Christ, cam pin. But you know, it's nice and shiny, and it doesn't have that gritty feeling of a lot of the cam pins. So A+ in my book. You can sit over there with the wiring pin and the cover pin. So, so where I want to kind of like go with that is really simple, and it's, if you guys have ever seen the movie Smoking Aces, if you haven't, you probably should. It's a really good movie. It's kind of convoluted, but that's not why you're watching it. So at one point, Jeremy Piven is in the bathroom with Common, which sounds really weird, and it kind of is. But basically, Jeremy Piven is like, well, I'm going to get out of here, and I have people that are looking out for me that will take care of me. And Common is like, well, you know, you're going to take me, right? I'm your right-hand man. I've been your security guy, you know, forever. We trust each other. And Jeremy Piven basically says, no, fuck you. You're not important. I am going to be taken care of because I am important and you are not, Ivy, which is Common's name. And so right there, you know, there's this part where you, like, you know, this is kind of a life or death situation for both characters. And, you know, Jeremy Piven kind of steps up and says that. And as he does so, of course, he's, you know, buddy Aces Israel. So he's got all the tricks with the playing cards. And he kind of readies a card. You can kind of see he's getting a, you know, to throw and do some stupid trick with it. And as he does that, you see Common getting ready, like grabbing his gun or whatever. And so both men, well, so Jeremy Piven has obviously made the declaration of, fuck you, who cares? I'm the one who's going to get saved and you're going to be screwed. You're going to probably wind up in police custody and or dead. Great. Awesome. Well, you know, obviously Common is not going to take that lying down, and he tells Jeremy Piven, buddy Aces Israel, he says, you know, if you think old man Primo Sprats or whatever the fuck his name is going to twist you up, wait till you see what I'm going to do to you. And as Common's getting ready to fight Jeremy Piven, obviously Jeremy Piven has that card, and he, you know, flips it out, hits Common in like the eye or something, and, you know, drives him back. And there's sort of this moment where they both kind of are looking at each other, and then, you know, Jeremy Piven takes off, and Common's trying to grab him, and you know, basically betrays one of his best friends. And you look at that and you go, okay, if neither one of those men had said something, the outcome would have been completely different. You know, even if they, like, you know, the posturing, like Jeremy Piven is readying the card, Common's squaring up, and he tells him, like, boy, if you think this mobster's gonna fuck your shit up, you wait to see what I'm gonna do to you. And right there, that's just, you know, he's implying, like, look, this is gonna be bad for you, you know, whether I do it or, you know, this mobster does it to you. And it's, again, it's a moment where both parties, if they had shut their fucking mouths and just gone at it, the outcome would have been completely different. I don't think Jeremy Piven could have stopped Common with a card. I think Common would have taken it, you know, like a champ, and then beat the fuck out of him, and whatever else would have happened. But the point is that both guys played their hands before they were ready to actually go. And in that case, they both sort of lost out. Neither one of them, despite being in very close quarters, because again, remember, they're in a bathroom together. So, you know, where Buddy's able to employ a card to strike another human being to defend himself. And, you know, Common is, you know, I don't remember if he actually got his gun out or if he just wanted to go, like, hit him or something. But, yeah, they both announced their intention to fight. And, you know, they sort of put it in this sense of, you know, this is the end game that I'm going to tell you. Like, it's not the beginning. It's not, you know, this is, if you think this mobster is going to mess you up, I'm going to do something worse than the mobster. And the mobster is sort of the end game. And so in that case, you know, Common is, or Jeremy Piven is like, you know, you're not important, Ivy, and because you're not important, you're basically just going to be fucked. So they both sort of, instead of saying like, hey, you know, like, I'm going to whoop your ass, but we'll still be friends later, or, you know, this is going to turn out bad, but, you know, you won't die, whatever. They both kind of kick it up to like 11 and just leave the knob there and kind of go to the final level, I guess, of threats is like, well, you know, you're worried about this mobster doing these terrible things to you, but you won't make it that far because I'll kill you and I'll make it hurt. And, you know, of course, with Jeremy Piven's character, he's threatening Common with essentially like either being murdered by the police or the SWAT team or whatever, or a life of probably, you know, trafficking cigarettes in his ass to avoid sexual enslavement. And so had either one of those guys said, hey, look, you know what, we're gonna throw down, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to threaten you with, you know, imprisonment or death or, you know, suicide by cop. I think, again, that the situation would have been completely different because when both men realized that they were essentially making death threats to each other, you know, the ante escalated quite quickly. And, you know, when you get to that point where you're telling somebody, look, man, like either you're going to die from, you know, the police shooting you or whatever, or you're a criminal, you're going to love prison. And the other person's saying like, hey, again, don't worry about this mafioso. Like, I am going to make things so much worse before you die. You kind of don't have anywhere to go from that. You know, it's like if you get into an argument and the first person like just pulls a gun immediately, like you can't really go any further than that because you've already gotten to that level of force. Which again, this is, you know, hypothetical. We're not. Oh God, there's be so many people like, oh, you better put your thing on gas to him. You better, I don't know, the gas key. No, whatever. So yeah, that is very, very important. You know, between the I'm going to fight you, Steve, and you know, just telling the other person that like, hey, we're going to go to the death, and things are going to be as bad as they can possibly be for you, and just so you know, I'm the one who's going to make that happen. You know, they're really at that point, there's nothing to lose because even though they were friends for years, and you know, Jeremy Piven betrayed Common over essentially nothing. You know, there's this point of going, oh shit, you know, even though we've been friends, you have just told me like this is going to be it. And the friendship went out the window. You can see it right away that they're just like, you know, Common felt betrayed. You know, it felt like Jeremy Piven had maybe been planning this for a long time, or at least he delivered it in a very cold way that indicated that, you know, whatever his feelings were in this situation, they didn't really rest with Common's well-being. So there is all that kind of stuff to think about. So just kind of going back to things in your own life, like understand that, again, the old adage of it is very easy to win when somebody else doesn't know they're fighting. That's absolutely true. And, you know, the whole thing, if you go back to like Magpul days, like the unfair advantage, and where they're saying like, look, we don't want you to get into a fair fight. Clint Smith, I think, said it best when he says, you know, don't make it a gunfight, make it a shooting. You know, if you are being attacked by somebody and you can, you know, essentially get your gun or whatever you got to do before they're able to employ theirs, that's a shooting because nobody shot back. But it's preferable to have the bullets go one way and not both ways. But if you walk over to somebody like, hey, guess what? I'm going to shoot you and this is the way it's going to be, probably things are not going to go as well for you as if you just done it. So there's also this weird misguided concept of like what's fair and what's honorable and things like that. And I guess it depends on to the level of conflict that you're in. You know, if it's just two people scrapping, they're bros, whatever, or they're drunk, you know, fighting, whatever. Okay, sure. But, you know, if you have something where you don't know this person and they're, you know, threatening your wife, your kid's wife, whatever, who else, you know, at that point, you know, fair kind of goes out the window, at least in my book. And again, remember, I've, you know, may have never won a fight, actually, if I think about it. But, and there's always a but, I think it's pretty sound, you know, advice to just say, look, you know, if you don't have to tell the other person, if you don't have to telegraph that you are going to get into a fight with them and they don't know it, as long as you're doing this for, you know, responsible reasons, like, you know, protecting yourself or whatever, that you're not going and playing the knockout game or some other dumb shit like that. I'm just going to go ahead and use this tool here because I cannot find my actual multi-tool, so I'll just use this fucking thing. But, you know, so like, obviously don't do anything stupid like that, but at the end of the day, like, if it's something where it's like, oh god, this person's trying to break in my house, I'm not gonna like tell them, hey bro, you know, I'm over here with this gun. I can see you from here. You maybe want to get behind a wall or something. Well, no, that's not gonna work because they can shoot through the wall. You know, why don't you just back up a little bit? Like, there's some brick on the outside of the house. If you want to just kind of hole up behind there, we can go do this over. Like, that's stupid. But, you know, it kind of goes back to the whole like castle clause, the duty to retreat, things like that, where I believe, if I remember correctly, there was an instance where, I think it was in California, because only in California. I'm sorry, I'm getting this guy's way off the screen, so hopefully you're listening to my wonderful voice and you love what you hear. But in California, I think it was the duty to retreat extended to, there was a gentleman with a road rage incident, and they're filthy ass gas rings. Again, this is like never been like ionized down to the rings. I should probably replace those at some point, just not today. But so they said basically that the duty to retreat extended to the person like jumping off the overpass on which the altercation had occurred, because until the person had done that, they had not technically exhausted all the avenues of avoiding the fight. When I got my CPL, they kind of talked through some of the things where one of them was like, you, depending on where you are, like the duty to retreat includes like jumping out the second floor window. And again, that might be hers. I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, looks kind of good. This thing cleans up really, really nice. Even though I don't have my real avid scraper in front of me, this will do. You can get between the little lugs there. And they're really cool lugs. If you haven't seen haven't seen the Sharps Rifle Company Reliable, they're very cool. The lugs are actually carved and shaped so that they fit into the chamber receiver lugs better. Whatever the heck they are, it's late. But yeah, so I mean, like, that could be hearsay. I don't know. I wasn't there, but you know, it doesn't surprise me that that would be a law somewhere that like, well, he didn't jump out the second floor window. Yeah, well, my kid was behind me and I wanted to keep him safe from the person that was trying to kill him. Right, but you didn't jump out the window though. Like, yeah, no, what was I supposed to do? Bring my kid out with me? Well, jump out and then run back up the stairs. Like, no, you're fucking high. Stop it. Anyway, so before that kind of derails, that's where I wanted to go with that whole thing. And again, this is not saying just, you know, sneak up and beat somebody up or anything stupid like that. It's more just a, hey, think about what you're doing in your life and be intentional about it, but understand that you don't have to have, like, announcements and glory. Like, Facebook is the worst fucking thing that we've ever had for stuff like that. Like, Facebook is for, like, cartoon problems, and real life is for real life problems. If you are like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Oh, my boyfriend, this. Like, that's not a real problem if you're talking about it on Facebook. Also, if you use the term, I'm a grown-ass man or woman, that term automatically indicates that you are actually not that type of person. But everybody goes on Facebook to argue or to show their new thing or this ring or this car or this whatever. And it's like this simple... This simple platform has basically just made it so that we don't understand the concept of, you know, the silent professional. And I don't just mean in like a tactical or whatever, you know, sense, but people that work hard, shut the fuck up and do what they're supposed to do. And, you know, everyone's got like, oh my God, this new thing. Like, you get an 11-cent raise. Awesome. Great. Now, okay, great. Well, now what else, you know? And because of this, people are constantly oversharing, you know, names, photographs. You know, I don't like to show pictures of my son. My wife does, which is fine. She's her own person, and I'm okay with that. But I deliberately, on my personal page, don't post pictures of my son very much because I don't feel the need to share him with the world. You know, he's an amazing person, and I don't need everyone else to know what he looks like, how cute he is, or whatever. That's on them. But, you know, again, I prefer being quieter about things, and then, oh, look at this, like, great, like, oh, cool, you know, you have this kid that looks like this, awesome. Well, guess what, you know, if you're into, like, you know, human trafficking, we'll go ahead and grab this kid for you. Anyways, so, I'm sorry, guys, I know this thing's, like, wobbling off the camera. I know you guys love to hear me talk, so I know that's why you're probably still here. You don't even care about the bolt carrier group, but, yeah, so just kind of think about that. Be intentional in your life. You don't have to tell everybody what you're doing. You don't have to have like a fucking dialogue box over your head that tells the reader like what's going on. You know, and a lot of it too is because I have some like mental health stuff going on that have, you know, has plagued me for essentially my whole life. There are times when I get triggered, I know, right? But where things seem much worse than they are, or completely, well, not completely different, but there's an element of things being either overblown or overstated, where they might not be as bad as they first seemed, but I didn't know because in that moment, things were overwhelming. So I'm at a year and a half sober right now, and just really difficult for me to be around alcohol. So I had a situation where I was around it and I freaked out, and it probably wasn't even nearly that bad, but I made it worse. So, but yeah, you know, just kind of think about that and understand that you don't have to tell everyone what you're doing wait till you're done. You know, once you've won or done whatever you got to do, that's an awesome time to tell people, hey, I was going to go do X, Y, Z. I didn't want to tell the person I was going to do it because otherwise they'd stop me or they'd just get away. But now we're done here, and I'm awesome. So that is my long-winded rambling comment there. Guys, you know, again, I'm sure that you love the way that this looks, but I'm sure you love my voice more. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. These things all help the channel. They're completely free to you. Tell a friend about us. Yeah, and buy an SRC bolt. They didn't, you know, sponsor this. They did give me this a long time ago to review, but I love it, and I bought several more, and everybody know I tell them to buy more of them, and they have different colors now. So, guys, that's all I got for you today. Have a great rest of your day. Be awesome to each other. Don't tell people what you're going to do, and I love you. Bye.